Well, hello everyone and welcome to the Friday recap, where today we will be recapping an incident-packed day at the Autodromo International do Algarve, to say the least. A lot happened today. It was certainly one of the more exciting Fridays of the season. And there is a fair bit to review. Before we go into the review, just want to say, make sure you check out the RaceWeek website at raceweekblog.com. I'm experimenting with publishing short articles after each session right now. So make sure you check that out on the RaceWeek blog. And make sure you follow us on Twitter at RaceWeek_show. And then subscribe to this. Leave a like, comment and subscribe for more RaceWeek content. So, without further ado, it's now time to talk about Free Practice 1 at Portimao. Practice 1 was basically a learning session, it can really be said, where obviously we weren't going to see like lightning fast times because obviously drivers were learning the track. It's a new surface and quite a few drivers were struggling with it. But also, and as expected, there were quite a few drivers had offs, which included Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, Kimi Raikkonen, Danny Kvyat, all in the morning session had offs, along with a few others. But it was Valtteri Bottas who ended the session on top in the first practice session, ahead of Lewis Hamilton in second place. 3/10 gap between the two Mercedes, but Valtteri Bottas always seems to hit the ground running in Free Practice 1. I believe they said that's his 6th Free Practice 1 that he's topped this season so far. Then you had, despite their offs, Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc were 3rd and 4th in the order, ahead of Alex Albon in 5th and Carlos Sainz in 6th. Then you had Sergio Perez in 7th. Kimi Raikkonen, despite having that off towards the end of the session, he ended up 8th with a late lap time. Then ahead of Daniel Ricciardo in 9th, with Pierre Gasly running at the top 10. Then in 11th place you had Sebastian Vettel ahead of Lando Norris in 12th, Danny Kvyat in 13th, Kevin Magnussen in 14th, Lance Stroll in 15th, Antonio Giovinazzi in 16th. Then you had Romain Grosjean in 17th, George Russell in 19th. It wasn't a smooth session for Esteban Ocon, only ending up 19th and actually having a smoking car at the end of the session, where he was told not to change gear. But Nicholas Latifi ended the session in 20th. So not really much to talk about this morning, other than the fact that the first impressions we got of the track is it is a beast, this track is. It catches the drivers out and does punish mistakes, as we were kind of expecting this track to. So it's been... And that is what drivers like, tracks that punish mistakes. But there wasn't that much meaning. All this running was mainly to prepare to learn the track. So there's not really much that could be read into the order. It was practice 2, where the teams and drivers were expecting to get that valuable qualifying and race running. But things did not exactly go as intended for really anyone, to be honest. And it was a dramatic session, Free Practice 2. We had quite a few mistakes once again. You had the likes of Sebastian Vettel and Danny Kvyat making mistakes. But its relevance was eliminated by 2 disruptions. I mean, the first half an hour of the session were for Pirelli, so the 2021 tyres could be tested ahead their prototype tyres could be tested, which meant that the first half an hour of running wasn't as relevant as it could be. But it encouraged the teams to get out there, which made things quite good. But then as soon as they got their tyres for the weekend in hand, things kicked off. You had Pierre Gasly bring his car to a stop with we're not really sure what the issue was, but his car burst into flames once he brought it to a stop, and that brought an end to his session, and probably that engine is not going to be salvageable. But so Pierre, and then the big talking point from the session, that incident between Lance Stroll and Max Verstappen. What happened is all I can say. So, to actually put it short, Max Verstappen on the outlet let Lance Stroll go, apparently to get a tow at the beginning of a lap. But unbeknownst to him, Lance was on a lap himself. And then it seems that going into the first corner, Lance did not want to leave space, as he did not want to ruin his lap. And Max Verstappen kind of stayed on the inside, and then inevitably contact was made, which sent Lance Stroll into the gravel and put the red flags out for a second time. And due to these disruptions, it did kind of jumble the order a bit. But once again, Valtteri Bottas ended the session on top, ahead of Max Verstappen, who, despite the collision, and also have to mention that Max Verstappen and Lance Stroll are under investigation for the incident, so we could see a penalty. Then Lando Norris was third after a last gasp lap at the end of the session, which put him third on the timesheets, ahead of Charles Leclerc in fourth, Carlos Sainz in fifth, and Sebastian Vettel in sixth. A good session for Ferrari, and a sign of a step in the right direction for them, it could be said. But we'll have to wait and see tomorrow when we will have more relevant running. And then you had Pierre Gasly, despite bringing his car to a stop, he ended the session in seventh, ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton had two chances of a fast lap, but his first lap was blocked by Danny Kvyat, and then his second lap, which was on the same run, was disrupted by the red flag. And then he had a third opportunity, which also got disrupted by a red flag as a result of the Stroll-Verstappen collision. Then you had Esteban Ocon in ninth with Alex Albon rounding out the top 10. It was a good session for Williams with 11th and 14th, George Russell in 11th and Nicholas Latifi in 14th. Then you had Sergio Perez in 12th, Daniel Ricciardo was disrupted by the red flags in 13th. Then you have Kimi Räikkönen in 15th, Kevin Magnussen in 16th, Danny Kvyat in 17th, Romain Grosjean in 18th, Lance Stroll down in 19th after the incident with Verstappen, with Antonio Giovinazzi rounding out the field. So obviously the big talking point is going to be that incident. There might be an individual video about that incident. I might actually start doing the analysis segments individually going forward. But considering that's the big talking point, I have to mention that my initial thought is both drivers have to accept some blame for the incident. I mean, Lance Stroll should have been more aware on the fact that Verstappen was on the inside. He should have been more aware to the fact that Verstappen was there. I mean, I know he did not want to give up. That would mean giving up his lap, but he could have but then all he needs to do is just back off and go again next run, providing he had enough fuel to do so. But I honestly believe that Verstappen was a little bit more to blame, because he was on the inside and it was obvious at that point that he didn't really have half his car alongside, and it was obvious that Stroll was going to attempt to turn into the corner himself, like properly, without having to leave space. And the lap was gone anyway. He would have had, even if he'd got through, he would have had to take a shallow line. So I don't really know what the point was in him trying to take that position, in him trying to get ahead. There was not really much use to it, since the lap was gone anyway in the end. So I honestly think Verstappen should have backed out and just gone again another lap. But that is it from the Friday recap. Of course, we'll see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock PM BST, where we will be recapping qualifying, which is going to be incredible to watch these cars around this thrilling circuit tomorrow. And it's going to be an interesting one. The effect of there was barely any race running, and the thing is, that means that the teams might be going into Sunday kind of blind, which could lead to an exciting race. Thank you for watching. Make sure you leave a like, comment and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more RaceWeek content. Make sure you visit the RaceWeek site at raceweekvlog.com and follow us on Twitter at raceweek_show. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for the Friday recap. Goodbye.